the one hand, you say, look, we're here to replace the Labour Party. So vote Green, that's what we want you to do. And on the other hand, you've talked about the fact that helping fascist Farage into power is a red line for you. In some seats, there'll be a straight run between Labour and Reform. So how do you square these two things that you're saying, which is one, we're here to replace the Labour Party, don't let this government hold your votes hostage, but on the other, you've described Reform as a fascist party, and surely that creates a different kind of moral imperative.
Well, I think the way this question often gets asked is, will you work with other left-wing parties or centre-left parties? And I think the first thing to say is this Labour Party is not a left-wing party. When we have Shabana Mahmood going around saying that she's going to seize the jewellery of the assets of people seeking asylum, as a Jewish person with Jewish ancestry, that's literally what the Nazis will have done to my ancestors. And so we see this with the ongoing genocide in Gaza, we see it with disability cuts, we see it with the two-child benefit cap. So then I go, the general election is not tomorrow, and actually we have time to build this movement, and we're all heading in the right direction. And actually it comes back to the premise of your question. Replacing the Labour Party looks like saying there shouldn't be any Labour Reform seats, because actually we need to turn those seats into Green versus Reform seats and make sure that the Green Party beat the Reform Party. Now, does that sound like a stretch from where we are now? Yes. And to come back to your first question, we are exponentially growing. We're getting thousands of new members every single day. We're starting to poll above the Labour government. So I don't think it becomes long before you say to the Labour Party, come on, you're splitting the vote. Like ultimately, this is a Green versus Reform party. And if Keir Starmer, last thing I'll say, but if Keir Starmer doesn't feel like he can change anything, or if he feels like he's making despair normal again, his whole thing is there's no alternative, it has to be this way, then why is he even in politics? What is the point of being a Labour politician at this point?
So on this, you're saying, okay, well, look at the pace of growth of the Green Party, look at how well we're doing in the polls. Does that mean that you're going to be expanding your target seats beyond the 39 or 40 where the Greens came second?
Yes, so during the leadership campaign, I was saying that I hope to win 30 to 40 MPs. And so, that would still be an amazing achievement. I'm not going to knock that, but it is starting to feel under-ambitious. Because actually what's happened with all of these new members is new resources and new people on the ground saying, actually, I want to campaign in my local area too. And so those 39 seats, I think, are the starting place to look for. But actually it's really telling that Ellie Chowns and Adrian Ramsey came from 4th and 5th place to go to 1st place. So actually 2nd place isn't the limitation to winning a Green seat. The limitation is having the right messaging, the right resourcing, and the right volunteers on the ground. And actually that's starting to happen in more and more seats. So the next question, because you're a very good journalist, is how many seats are you going to go for, Zack?
How many seats are you going to contest?
And it's just too soon at the moment to know that. But what I will say is almost on a weekly basis, we're going back to the drawing board and saying, that's still not ambitious enough for what's happening right now. And the more that we see Reform kind of growing and the more that we see the Labour Party pandering to Reform, that is an insane electoral strategy. If people wanted Nigel Farage or Reform, they'd just vote for Reform. And I think the more that Labour spiral into this awful, toxic, divisive politics, the more there is a space for a hopeful, ambitious party like the Green Party, and we absolutely intend to take that opportunity.
I can see you're impressing these people. So I've got to come up with a real shitter of a question now. At the moment, there is a pretty sizable debate on the left, and this is really a result of a high-profile conflict that's occurring within your party. But I want to ask you to address this about your vision for the Green Party. How broad a church do you want it to be? What's the window of tolerance for the range of perspectives you're comfortable seeing in your membership?
Well, first of all, I think it can be really broad, particularly in terms of geography, so I'd start there. I was speaking to Yanis Varoufakis yesterday for my podcast, Bold Politics. Always plug a podcast.
Did someone wolf whistle Yanis Varoufakis?
He probably deserves it.
Find God.
And Yanis was very lovely. People will be able to see the podcast, and he said he was really excited by the political project I was doing, and he felt like it was the right one, and he very much offered his kind of public and private support. And he said during it, I think there are seats that maybe you can't win, places like in the Northeast, for instance. And actually, Green Party membership has over doubled in the last 2 months. But actually, the place that it's gone highest is London, right here in Hackney, actually. And the second place is in the Northeast. And I think that's what that's speaking to, is places like the Northeast that reform is not some kind of abstract threat. You've got reform winning councils there. And I think people there are going, actually, joining the Green Party and getting involved is not a nice to have. It's not like a hobby to do at the weekend. This is something that is existential for our city and for our politics. And so more and more people are getting involved. So in terms of how broad can the coalition be, I think that's about the Green Party continuing to do what we already are, which is being the lead opposition party and saying we are going to take on both this failing Labour government, but actually we're absolutely going to take the fight to reform. Now, in terms of politics, beyond geography, there are core principles of the Green Party. We are anti-racist, anti-homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, and those are not kind of negotiables. In terms of the politics of our policies, so the one that drives me crazy, and I'll go straight there, is people say to me, I'm really, really worried about reform. I'm really, really worried about fascism. I love everything that you and the Green Party are doing. I'd get involved, but I don't like your policy on nuclear energy. Like, it's a very, very specific policy. And my answer, beyond me having the discussion about nuclear energy, is we're a fully democratic party. We are one member, one vote. We have policy working groups. Any member, whether they've been in the party for 20 years or they joined the party after listening to this talk, that's just a subtle hint there.
You really just planted that seed. It's like, when there are flash images in The Shining or something to try and...
Careful, you'll make me sound like a hypnotist or something.
I thought they were getting bigger.
But quite seriously, anyone can vote on party policy. And actually what I would say to people is it's too much of a luxury to find one policy you disagree with when ultimately you look at the threat of what the far right is doing to this country. And so I'd say to anyone, get involved with the Green Party.
Would that mean that the Green Party would tolerate a member or a group of members who said, OK, well, we want to introduce policy that's against self-ID? Or something like that?